Hi everyone, today we are going to be creating a watercolor color wheel. We are doing this so we can learn how to mix colors for our next upcoming project. Today we are going to talk a little bit about primary colors and how to make secondary colors. So our primary colors are the three main colors on a color wheel. They are the colors that cannot be created by mixing any other colors. They are just created by simply existing. In red, yellow, and blue are the primary colors. We do have secondary colors, and secondary colors are created by mixing two primaries together. So red and yellow make orange. Yellow and blue make green, and blue and red make violet or purple. You can see that the primary colors are outside or on either side of the secondary colors. So the two colors that are next to it is what create it. So red and yellow are on opposite sides of orange, and red and yellow both make orange. Okay, so you'll kind of see that going on. We also have color schemes that we'll talk a little bit about and we'll go more in depth with for our next project. We have warm and cool colors, and you'll see them listed right here on the color wheel. If you turn the color wheel a certain way, you will see that on one side are all the cool colors, green, blue, and violet, and on the other side are the warm colors, red, orange, and yellow. Of course, there are more colors that exist on the color wheel. We have a 12-part color wheel. Right now, this is just 6, where we have red, orange, yellow, green, and so on. But we're not going to go too in-depth with that. So for today, you guys are receiving this blank piece of paper, okay? You want to make sure you fill up your water cup, not full all the way, maybe like about halfway with water, clean water. You are also going to grab a paint palette that has the 3 primary colors and a paintbrush. You also want to make sure that you grab paper towel so that you can dab your paintbrush if it gets a little too wet. Some quick tips for watercolor is that you don't want to use a lot of water when you're painting. That is because it may rip your paper. You also don't want to have a really, really pale color, okay? So if you have too much water, it's gonna make your colors really, really pale. You also wanna make sure that when you're painting, if you have a wet color, here for example, like let's say I just freshly painted my red and then I put orange right next to it, when they are both wet, what will often happen if they touch, they'll start to mix together, which is okay. Sometimes that's an artist's goal, is to have their watercolors mix, but we don't want that for our color wheel. We want to try to keep them separate. Another thing that is important to know is that you want to clean your brush before going into a new color. This is so you do not destroy any other color. So if I went into the red and then I didn't clean my brush off and needed yellow, it's going to turn my yellow basically orange, and I don't want that. I want to keep my yellow like it is. Okay, especially since we are sharing these ones. These are our classroom palettes. We do not want to destroy any other colors. Okay, first things first, you want to swish your paintbrush around and get it soaked with water. And you want to activate your paints, which means you want to wake them up because they're super dry, and you want to squeeze a little bit of water into each paint pod, okay? This is so that we can use it and it's activated. So red is the color that I'm gonna start with first, and this part's really easy, right? All I'm gonna do is just paint it in, okay? So I'm wiping the side of the paint with my paintbrush. I'm not stabbing it, I'm not gouging it out. I'm being really gentle so that I can just get the paint onto my paintbrush, okay? I'm gonna clean off my paintbrush, so I'm just going in the paint cup, swishing it around. I'm even wiping it off the side a little bit so it's not dripping everywhere. Then I'm gonna go into my yellow, tapping the side of it, and then same thing. It's okay if you go outside the lines a little bit, no big deal. This is just so we can practice mixing colors and creating our color wheel. Swishing my brush around to clean it off, tapping it off, and then going into my blue. This part is the easiest part, just painting your primaries, because you don't need to mix anything. Okay. So when it comes time to mixing the secondary colors, of course I'm cleaning my brush off, we're going to use something called palette paper. Palette paper is a waxy type of paper, and you guys will all receive one. And its waxy surface lets us mix onto it without having the paper just soak up our color. So, to mix our secondary colors, we are going to use two primary colors, okay? So I'm going to start with orange. When we mix a secondary color, we do want to start with the lighter color first. So I have my wet paintbrush, I'm going into yellow, and I'm putting a little bit on the wax paper, you can see. If yours doesn't look like this, it might be dry. You can just get a little bit of water from your cup and put it right on there. I'm cleaning off my brush, and I'm going to get a little bit of red. Oop. Mix it together. All right, that looks pretty good. If I feel like this looks a little bit too red-orange, I might grab a little bit more yellow. Just a little bit. I'm barely even touching it because sometimes these colors can really overpower each other. Okay, so I think that's pretty good, and I'm going to paint it on. You may notice that my orange is pretty light. That's just because when I was mixing it, I may have had a little bit more water than I had paint color. So I might go and mix a little bit more with less water. You can see that my orange touched the red a little bit, and it may not be as noticeable, but the red is kind of bleeding in to my orange, which no big deal because I'm just practicing. All right, I'm gonna try this again. Yep, that looks better to me. Okay, so it's a little bit brighter. It's okay if yours is pale, no big deal. All right, and you're gonna be more careful than I'm being because I'm just getting it everywhere. But again, we're just practicing, so no worries. Okay, I'm gonna go into the green now. So to do green, it's again yellow and blue. I'm gonna put yellow down first because it's a lighter color. I put water down first just that time, so I had enough. Clean my brush off, swishing it around the bottom of my paint water cup. Going into the blue. All right, so you can probably tell that is a lot of blue compared to yellow. So I'm cleaning off my brush, and I'm gonna get some yellow on there. Mix it together. There we go, that's so much better. Okay. So when you mix secondary colors from primary colors, a lot of times it does not look as vibrant as you're used to seeing our greens and our oranges and our violets. That's okay. That's because you're just creating them from the primaries. When we work on our project where we're going to use watercolor, you'll be able to use actual greens and purples and oranges. You don't have to mix them the whole time. Okay, and then violet is the next color we are going to mix. Let me just rearrange this here. Violet is sometimes the harder one to make. And not like orange and green where we put the yellow down first because that's lighter. Red and blue are like the same lightness and darkness, I think, in my mind. So it doesn't really matter which one you put down first. I'm just going to put red down first. All right, so I'm doing a little bit, cleaning off the brush. It's a good habit to get into. And then I'm grabbing equal amount of blue, and I'm mixing it together. So to me, it's almost there. Maybe it's a little too blue. I might want to clean my brush off again, grab a tiny bit of red, mix it together, and I think that looks better. So you have to be careful when you make violet. Sometimes it looks red violet or it looks blue violet. It doesn't really look regular violet. Okay, so I painted that on, and I'm good to go. Okay, So once you finish, you can let it dry. It only takes a few minutes there to dry. But take a picture on your laptop to upload to Schoology. You don't have to write an artist statement. I just want you to say, like, here's my color wheel, or you can write whatever you want. But you do have to write a comment because Schoology just makes you. But you don't have to do an artist statement. So take a picture, upload it to Schoology. If it is still wet, you can put it on the drying rack that is over by the windows. If it's dry, you can definitely take it home, okay? If you do leave it here, make sure you write your name on the top so that it doesn't get mixed up with anyone else's. Now it's time for cleanup, okay? So you can pause this video while you are doing your color wheel. And when you are ready for cleanup, we're gonna press play and I will tell you how to clean up. So for cleanup, of course, you're deciding right now if you're gonna put this in your folder to take home, or if it's still wet, put it on the drying rack. Your paint cup is going to be dirty. You want to swish your paintbrush in the water, take a paper towel, dab it off. All right, we're not stabbing our paintbrush down. We don't want the hairs to get all crazy and have a bad hair day. So I'm dabbing off the paintbrush, keeping it aside for now. Going to the sink, I'm gonna dump this out. Okay, and I'm leaving it at the sink. My paint colors, I'm just closing them up, putting them by the sink. My paintbrush is gonna go up in the cup by the sink where all the other supplies are. You can then throw away your palette paper and your paper towel. And then you should be all good to go. Thank you guys so much, and I can't wait to see your color wheels.